Summary of the book Good and Evil by Samanta Schweblin. A woman jumps from the dock, determined to die. The water envelops her, the rocks drag her, but something fails. Her lucidity. She repents, frees herself, returns home soaked, and saves the farewell letters. Minutes later, her family returns with a surprise, a white rabbit named Tonel. Everything seems the same. But something in the house, in her, no longer fits. The rabbit watches her. The silence thickens. Did she really come out of the water? Or did something else enter with her? Part 1. Water and Emptiness. The water envelops her. The cold shock shocks her, but she resists. She sinks without a struggle, her eyes open in the depths. The stones tied to her waist drag her down, where the light dissolves into shadows. She holds her breath until her body begins to tremble, a spasm in her lungs. How much longer? She thinks about time. A minute, maybe 2. What if this is it? The water should have swallowed her by now, but something doesn't add up. One last push, and doubt hits her with the force of a scream. She unties the knot. The stones fall, and the earthquake of their impact raises a cloud of sand. Her body floats, inert, suspended between two worlds. She rises. The ascent is slow, the water thinning around her. When she finally pops her head out, the cold air cuts into her skin. She takes a deep breath and kicks her feet onto the dock. The warm wood feels strangely solid beneath her feet. Her clothes drip as she walks toward the house. She tried, but she's still here. The picture window reflects her silhouette before she slides onto the rail. Inside, everything is still in its place. The hydrangeas cut that morning are still fresh in their vases. On the table are the letters he'd left. One for him. One for the girls. He shouldn't be here to pick them up. He pockets them. He takes them up to the bedroom, hides them in the nightstand drawer, as if they'd never existed. He changes out of his wet clothes and goes down to the kitchen. His body is shivering, but not from the cold. He's beating eggs furiously, the sound of the fork against the metal filling the silence. Outside, the car honks. Children's voices burst into the house like a whirlwind. They're back. "Mommy, look what we brought. A rabbit in a cage, small, with fluffy white fur." His name is Beryl, he announces, as if it's the most normal thing in the world. She keeps whisking. Something's off. Something should have changed, but everything's the same. "Mommy, you smell weird." The older one buries her nose in her stomach, and the younger one imitates her. "Like dirty mud," the younger one says, wrinkling her nose. She puts the bowl down on the counter and looks at the window. Did he really come out of the water? Part 2. The rabbit in the house. Tonel is on the loose. He runs around the house with the ease of someone who has never known fear. His little paws slide across the dining room floor, sniffing in corners, avoiding the girl's feet. It makes her uncomfortable. "From now on, everything will be locked up tight," he says, closing the window with a sharp bang. The girls laugh, oblivious to the tension in the air. The youngest chases the rabbit. The oldest sits at the table. She distributes the omelets on the plates with mechanical movements. Everything is in order. Everything remains in order. Tonel approaches, brushes her foot with his wet nose. She shudders. "Mommy, are you happy?" She doesn't answer immediately. The girl repeats the question, this time closer, almost pleadingly. "Happy?" "Yes," she finally answers. But he notices his untouched plate. But eating would be too much, wouldn't it? She leaves her cutlery on the table, her gaze fixed on the rabbit. Something about his presence unsettles her. Something about the way he moves, the way he exists within the house as if he's always been there. Something about the way everyone accepts him so easily. The afternoon passes in a fog of fake normality. He goes upstairs with the girls to play. The house fills with their laughter. She clears the table, wipes up the crumbs, and returns to the kitchen. Every action is measured, precise, as if following a choreography rehearsed 1,000 times. If everything stays the same, if she keeps doing the same things, Maybe she'll be able to convince herself that nothing's changed. But when she turns around, she sees him. Tonel, motionless, looking at her. The air thickens. Her stomach churns. Something in those dark eyes is deeply wrong. She approaches, but before she touches him, he calls to her from above. "Can you go get some milk?" A respite. An escape. Yes. She takes the wallet and leaves the house. The rabbit stays. Part 3. The Neighbor and the Invisible Threat. The air outside is thick. She moves away from the house, but the feeling persists, as if something were following her, as if the rabbit were still watching her. She crosses the street and sees the neighbor's truck. It's arriving, like every afternoon. A large man, with the peak of his cap pulled down and his expression always neutral. She knows who it is. 3 years ago, his picture appeared in the local newspaper. Accused of stalking, the woman who reported him disappeared from town. Shortly after, he put up a barbed wire fence in her yard. "The fence is for the parents," he said when they tried to talk to him. His voice echoes in her head as she continues walking. She doesn't like that man. She doesn't like the way he looks at her house when he passes by. She arrives at the store, buys the milk. As she leaves, she sees her reflection in the glass of the door. The clothes are dry, the hair is tangled, the skin is still pale. But it's here. It's still here. She takes a deep breath and turns back. As she approaches her house, something makes her stop. The neighbor is in his yard, leaning over the fence, peering in. Her heart leaps. "Did you lose something?" he asks, his voice firmer than she feels. The man looks up calmly. "A rabbit." She feels a chill. "A rabbit?" "Yes, a fat white one. It escaped yesterday. Barrel." The world seems to stop. Her mind reels between doubt and horror. What if Tonel isn't one of the girls? What if he... "I didn't see a rabbit," she says, without thinking. The neighbor watches her for a moment longer, then shrugs and walks away. She enters the house with her heart in her throat. She closes the door, locks the latch, and then she sees Tonel. He's still there, in the middle of the dining room, looking at her. He shouldn't be here. Part 4. The Crack in Reality. Tonel watches her from the ground, motionless. His breathing is almost imperceptible, too calm, too present. "Mommy," Tonel is trembling, says the youngest, crouching next to him. It's not true. The rabbit isn't trembling. Its fur looks like a white spot in the house, as if it's always been there. As if it hadn't been brought, but found. "Leave him alone," she says, her voice tense. The older girl looks at her, frowning. "Are you okay, Mom?" She doesn't answer, because she doesn't know the answer. In the kitchen, he flips through the newspaper without looking up. The neighbor was looking for a rabbit, one just like this one. He nods. "And what did you tell him?" "That I didn't see one." He looks up. "Why?" "Good question. Why? Why did you feel you shouldn't give him up? Why does the idea that Tonel doesn't belong in this house unsettle you more than his very presence?" "I don't know." Night falls, and the house fills with long shadows. The girls are asleep. He locks himself in the study. She remains in the kitchen, motionless, her gaze fixed on the dark hallway. The rabbit is still there. It should be in its cage, but it isn't. It moves back and forth with a strange freedom. "Enough," she whispers. She takes the cage and leaves it open in the living room. She waits. But Tonel doesn't come in. He sits by the table, breathing heavily. He can't stay in this house. Finally, she takes the cage and with a knot in her stomach grabs Tonel. The fur burns her fingers. She goes out into the garden. The night is still, but she feels the weight of every shadow. She has to do it quickly. She opens the cage. She sets him on the ground. "Run, please." But Tonel doesn't move. He looks at her and smiles. Part 5. The Weight of the Unsaid. It couldn't have been real. Rabbits don't smile. But he saw it. He swears he saw it. She backs away, her body rigid, her breathing shallow. She runs. She wants to say it, to shout it. But Tonel is still there, still, waiting. He doesn't leave. "What are you doing outside?" His voice cuts through her like a whip. He's standing in the doorway, watching her with his arms crossed. She looks at Tonel. "Say something. React. Explain who you are." But the rabbit remains motionless. Small. Harmless. "Nothing," he whispers. "Go back inside. It's cold." She nods, but her feet don't move. If he goes in, Tonel will go in too. "Aren't you going to put him in the cage?" She feels his gaze on her, feels the weight of what she can't say. "Yes," she murmurs. She lifts the rabbit with trembling hands, puts it in the cage, and closes the latch with a sharp click. Locked up. He's locked up. He walks to the house, but before he enters, he turns his head. The neighbor is at his window, watching. Her skin prickles. "Come on," he says, without realizing it. She goes into the house, closes the door, and turns the key. The latch sounds like a gunshot in the night. They go upstairs in silence. He goes to the bathroom, she to the bedroom. Before going to bed, she checks the cage. Tonel is still there. The girls are asleep. The house sinks into a thick stillness, but she can't close her eyes. Hours later, in the darkness, something wakes her. The sound of a latch. The sound of the cage. Part 6, A Necessary Sacrifice. The blood runs cold in her veins. She can't have heard it. But there it is. The metallic sound of the cage opening. A soft, almost delicate click. She sits up in bed, not breathing. Don't move. Don't make a sound. The house is a void of shadows. Only the faint creak of wood beneath something moving can be heard. Something that shouldn't move. She gets up carefully. She opens the bedroom door. The gloom of the hallway envelops her. She looks toward the stairs. Tonel is there. Not on the floor. Not walking like a normal rabbit. Sitting on the first step. Waiting for her. "Mom." Her daughter's voice makes her turn sharply. The older one is in the doorway of her room, her eyes half closed, caught between sleep and wakefulness. "What are you doing awake?" she whispers. "I heard something strange." "Yes, me too." The girl looks at the stairs. "Look, Tonel too." She takes her daughter by the arm and gently pushes her back into the room. "Go back to sleep." But he's awake. It doesn't matter. She closes the door. Her pulse thunders in her head. She turns. Tonel is no longer on the stairs. Her heart skips a beat. She takes the steps 2 at a time, desperate, fear creeping into her throat. The rabbit is gone. She looks toward the dining room window. The glass door is open. A chilly breeze blows through the house. She runs and slams the door shut. She looks outside. The night is a dark pit. She's not there. She's gone. She takes a deep breath. She leans against the wall. It's all over, isn't it? Part 7. Who remains at the end? The house is silent. But something has changed. The next morning, the girls search everywhere for Tonel. "He escaped," she says. The youngest cries. The oldest stares at her. "What?" "The cage was open," she replies, not wanting to say more. He shrugs. "It lasted longer than I thought. What does that mean?" But she doesn't ask. She just nods. Normality continues. Breakfast, the backpacks, the car horn. They leave. The house is empty. Or is it? The window shines with daylight. She approaches, looks outside. Nothing. But the feeling is there, as if something were still present. She goes to the cage, touches it with her fingers. Cold. Empty. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath. It's all over. A sound makes her turn around. A light scrape, like paws on the wooden floor. But there's nothing. Nothing. He stays still. He knows he shouldn't move. Until, in the reflection of the window, he sees it. A white flash. A shadow that shouldn't be there. A smile. And he understands. It never left. End of the good evil.